Good evening, everybody. It is Thursday, June 20th. Where has the time gone? We are already almost in July. Chris Dobbs, Gerry Green here. Our 2 cents on the TV and online. Gerry, it's a championship edition of Our 2 Cents tonight. I think we'll be
Sure.
talking a lot about it. We're going to start with the National Hockey League. We're going to a game 6, which is crazy. The number one question was, did I think we would get to game 6? And I would love to hear your take on this. Looking at it now, my answer would be, did you ask me when the series started if I'd be shocked we're at a 6 game? No, but going down 3-0, telling me we're going to a game 6, the answer is yes. I'm a little surprised, but overall, it will be a gong show in Alberta tomorrow
hmm
night.
Chris, it's like from hero to zero when you talk about Bobrovsky. I mean, I'm watching Game 5 the other night, and they're on a power play, and Connor Brown is coming down on a breakaway. And Bobrovsky lets him score. Well, he lets him score, but he didn't look like he was playing the shooter properly, and a little slip a backhander by him. Here he was in the first 3 games, no goals, 1 goal, 3 goals. Okay, big hero, Conn Smythe. He's going to be the guy. They got 3 wins. They'll need 1 more. Well, know what he's done, Chris, in the last 2 games? He's allowed 9 goals on 39 shots. That's a save percentage of .769. He gets pulled in Game 4, and he plays all of Game 5, 9 goals on a total of 39 shots. The glitzer has come off Bobrovsky, and I really don't know. They say, oh, well, he'll bounce back from game number 4, and he'll be good in game number 5. I didn't see him that great in game number 5, the game that I saw, and especially that opening goal. That's all Edmonton needed, Chris, was to get that opening goal and put the seed of doubt in Florida's mind. Don't get me wrong, Chris. I thought Florida played great. They need their goalie to play better. They're still playing that way that they've played all the way through the playoffs, but they need it seems like they've had brain transplants with both goalies. Now you got Skinner stopping all the stuff that's fired on him, and Bobrovsky not looking good at all. It's funny how that can change.
It's amazing how playoff hockey works, and you are right. I don't know if I'd necessarily say that Florida has been the better team. There's been pockets. If you look at goaltending, Edmonton couldn't solve Bobrovsky in games 1 and 2 and 3.
Right.
But they figured it out. There was something that clicked, and you saw that in the 8-1 game, and nothing irritated me more than people saying, oh, they mailed it in. They wanted to win on home ice. I can tell you right now, no professional sports team alive wants to give up a sweep, whether you're on the road or at home. If you look at how Edmonton has played the last 2 games specifically, they're almost textbook identical. Starting the game off early, shorthanded goals. One of them scored by Connor Brown in Game 5. Game 4, Connor Brown did all the work to set up that shorthanded goal in Game 4. That's how that game started. The difference is the floodgates opened. You talked about Sergei Bobrovsky. They found a way. Connor McDavid found a way to put this team on his back and said, guys, we're going to move this thing back and forth. I see it like this, and that is, statistically speaking, because right now the odds-on betting favorite for the Conn Smythe win or lose is Connor McDavid at this point. And I was looking it up today to find out, in players in general, yes, if you look at when the last time an opposing player won the Conn Smythe, when their team had lost the Stanley Cup Final, would have been 03 J.S. Shiger as a goaltender.
Right.
But do you know when the last skater won the Conn Smythe Trophy losing the Stanley Cup?
No, I cannot recall unless, I don't know.
74.
I can
Reggie
only
Leach.
think of Hextall and Jaguar. That's the only 2 I can think of that on losing teams won a Conn Smythe Trophy. We got
Reggie
it for
Leach. Reggie Leach.
me. I was going to say
74.
Reggie Leach, but
Yep.
I because he had scored. But that was a long time. Who they would have lost to? Maybe Montreal. I don't know. I can't remember. That would have been in the 70s run of the Broad Street Bullies, I would think.
And during this run, you're not wrong. And I was a couple other interesting stats here to look at. You have to talk about the playoff series that Zach Hyman has had. If scoring his 15th goal, I was looking up these numbers today too. Since 2000, there has only been 2 players above Zach Hyman who have scored 15 playoff goals. Sidney Crosby's one, Alexander Ovechkin's the other, and now you got Zach Hyman. What was nice to see for Florida and their fans, though, was Matthew Tkachuk get on the board last night. He's kind of been a bit snake bitten for Florida, even though they won games
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, and 3. Up until last night, the last time Matthew Tkachuk scored a goal in the postseason was game 1 against the Rangers. That was his last goal in the playoffs. So to see him kind of turn things around a little bit, and there's no give in Florida. I mean, they were down 3 goals at one point, and they came back, and like they're capable of scoring in bunches too. So at no point did I think that game was over last night. But you have to tip your cap to the Edmonton Oilers and forcing this thing back to Alberta for game 6, which it's going to be the party of the century. There's no doubt about
Mm-hmm.
it. I think it's one of those things. But watching how humble Connor McDavid is taking this thing seriously, it's been a hell of a Stanley Cup final. I'm glad it's going 6 games because I didn't want to see a sweep here.
No, it had certain similarities to, the NBA, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes, in regards to wham bam, thank you, ma'am, it's over. But
Right.
fortunately, Edmonton found their mojo and have made a series out of it. And no reason or no way did I think Florida was going to sweep. Florida had some great breaks on their home ice, and then fortunately won game 3 in Edmonton to make everybody just kind of scratch their head. Well, the Oilers not that good, but all along the Oilers have been playing great. But Florida seemed to lose their focus after game 4 about what exactly was. It seemed maybe once the cup was in the house, maybe that pressure got to them.
Edmonton
I
figured
didn't think they
something out.
dominated. I didn't think they outplayed the Oilers in game 5. I just found that they got back to doing what they do, and that's trying to protect the goalie if he would stop something. That is really my problem, Chris. It came
Agree.
down to that because they outshot the Oilers last night, and here they are, find themselves losing that game. But
Stuart
overall,
Skinner
I'm
doesn't need to be
enjoying.
great. He just needs to be good.
I'm enjoying the playoffs. I'm enjoying when teams are playing with desperation. And that's what Edmonton did in game 4. They were no way going to lose in front of their home fans in a Stanley Cup final. Win, lose,
No.
or draw the whole series itself. They were not going to lose that game. And I love watching teams play with desperation and watching players play with desperation. That's the best hockey.
Well, here's hoping this thing goes 7. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about another championship in professional sports and the NBA Finals. The Boston Celtics won their 18th championship, now the most winning team in the history of the NBA. Now surpassing, I think it's time to hang that in-season tournament banner from the Lakers just to kind of keep the banners at ease. What were your thoughts on the NBA final? Did you think it was underwhelming? Were you impressed by it? I mean, if you look at the overall stats and numbers the Celtics put up this season, they were the best team in the NBA. I mean, they deserved to win it. But I found their path to get there wasn't that difficult. They faced teams with a lot of injuries to get there. It was a cakewalk to it. There was only 1 or 2 games in general. I thought the Mavericks had a shot, but overall, I mean, what a dominating performance by the Celtics.
No, I'm not, Chris. I'm not taking anything away from the Celtics. If you get an easy trail, you get an easy trail. I mean, it wasn't that long ago. It was tough to get through the East. You had Philadelphia, Milwaukee, and Miami, and Toronto when they were, doing their thing. And that's not that long ago, Chris, really.
Right.
It used to be the East was a tough place. And the Knicks this year were playing so much better. And but that's the way the cookie crumbles. And the fact that Boston had the best record during the regular season and they lose
Right.
3 games, just 3 games in the playoffs, they are worthy champions. But I did find the final itself, no drama whatsoever. You had the blowout in game number 4, just like you had in the NHL. You had a blowout in game number 4, and then they went home and Boss said, okay, enough of this. We'll put this away. But I felt there was no drama. There was no overtime. That's the other thing I've noticed about the NHL this particular playoff season. Not a whole lot of overtime. We didn't have any overtime when it comes to the playoffs in the NBA. There was no drama in the final. I thought it was a foregone conclusion. Boston was going to win it by hook or by crook in 4, 5, 6, whatever. It was going to reside in Boston for the Celtics.
For the NBA in general, I mean, the storylines you've got there are 2 great ones. You've got the best team in basketball with the Celtics and the NBA's favorite son, essentially, in Luka Doncic going toe-to-toe, plus the storyline between Kyrie Irving and Kristaps Porzingis, even though Porzingis was hurt, seeing him come into that final as well. From a media and a marketing standpoint, you've got to be very thrilled on it. Excuse me. I was hoping it was a little underwhelming for me. I was expecting I guess I got caught up in Luka mania, I guess is the good way to put it. And I was hoping for a Mavericks win, but as you mentioned, you can't take away from the Boston Celtics. Congratulations to them on their title. I just hope they don't run it back is all I can say there. Staying in NBA and talking about some sad news as a Lakers fan specifically. The NBA lost a great man. Jerry West passed away. Jerry was an all-star in 14 of his seasons, 12-time All-NBA, only player in NBA history to win playoff MVP on a losing team, three-time Hall of Famer as a player, as a member of the 1960 Olympic team, and as a contributor. And how about this for a good week's work of the GM of the Lakers? July 11th, 1996, pulled off the trade to send Vlade Divac to Charlotte and acquire Kobe Bean Bryant on July 19th, 1996. Okay. Either way, lost a legend in the NBA, Jerry West. As a Lakers fan, you have to love him.
Well, they lost a big name in the Major League Baseball this week, too, in Willie Mays. And Willie Mays was supposed to be attending a game that was going to be taking place in Birmingham, Alabama at the Rockwood Field. It was a ceremonial type of event that they said he couldn't attend. And then the sad news came this week that he had passed away, and what a baseball player he was. And all you remember is the black and white images of Willie Mays running towards the wall and catching it over his shoulder. That was the most infamous catch of ever by Willie Mays. But no, you don't know enough about that era of player. But Willie Mays, everybody knew his name.
Oh, of course. A very sad week in sports, I guess you could look at it that way. And, losing two legends like Jerry West and Willie Mays all in the same week is just tough. Speaking of tough, this might not be pleasant for Blue Jays fans out there, but sticking with Major League Baseball while we're talking about it, at this point, if you look at where the Jays are, I mean, they just recently sent Biggio to the Dodgers, who's already been booed, which is hilarious. What else could, I at this point, I don't even think you're looking at a spot where the Jays have a spot to contend for a wild card anymore. But what do you do if you're the GM of the Jays right now? I mean, how tough, other than pack your bags because you're probably going to get fired, what would you look at right now? I mean, baseball in general as a whole. You're talking about off camera.
Yeah, I really don't know, Chris. I just thought as I looked at the Jays' record of 35 and 38. Just below 500, and looked at some other teams in Major League Baseball that have a lot of bigger problems than the Toronto Blue Jays, and big names like San Francisco and San Diego, who are supposed to be contending with Los Angeles out in the West. And then you have Houston and Texas, who are supposed to be battling for the top spot. Here is Seattle is 10 games above both of them. They're both of them sitting there at 33 and 40. How would you feel as the defending champ being 33 and 40? So, yes, the Blue Jays are magnified because they're the only team we have in Canada, and they're just below 500. I never thought they were going to contend again this year with the lack of things they did in the offseason. I don't think you can retool it here in the midway point of the season to make you any opportunity to win a championship, specifically against your American League opponents in the New York Yankees and the Baltimore Orioles. If the Yankees stumble, the Orioles are going to be right there. And now the Yankees are getting back Garrett Cole, and I'm here managing all right and scoring 126 runs more than they've allowed. The Yankees are for real, and Soto and the Judge and the pitching staff there waiting for Cole to come back have done a great job.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And if you look at, everybody knew the Orioles were going to be good, but a lot of people still questioned whether, in fact, I think I was one of the, I called how good the Yankees were going to be this year on one of our shows earlier before baseball season started. But with the acquisition of look, the Yankees have the best record in baseball. I'm there's still something about the Yankees that I'm not sold on yet. Do I think they're World Series contenders? Of course they are. But there's just something, it's the Yankees. And I'm not saying this as a Red Sox fan, Jerry, but you are right. If you look at the records of all teams in baseball right now, there's a bigger shift happening. Mm-hmm. But either way, I mean, I love baseball because it's such a long season. So we'll be able to talk about this for the next few months. But with only a bit of time left, I do want to transition over to golf because I want to talk about how fun the U.S. Open was. Because I can tell you, I don't think there's ever been anybody in the history of golf who's gone from heel to face quicker than Bryson DeChambeau after winning. I mean, everybody's opinion on him seems to have changed. The excitement that came on final Sunday, the heartbreak for Rory to make it up, like to miss those two putts. I mean,
Mhm.
how excited were you? Did you get a chance to watch it all? Did you watch it from Thursday to Sunday? How much time you spent in front
Yes.
of the TV?
No, of course I get the final round in because there's so much jockeying for positioning. The course is so hard and the putting is so
Right.
hard. And it was a challenging U.S. Open track, and it certainly lived up to those expectations. But Bryson DeChambeau is a different bird. There's no doubt about it. Different character. I love the emotion. I love his mechanics. I love the way he thinks everything through. And here, don't I miss him so much because he plays over and live during the regular circuit that we don't get to see him, don't get to see Kropka and all those guys that don't get to come and play. But here is Rory McIlroy, the banner waver of the PGA and how much he hates live and all that kind of crap. And here he is. Yes, you're a major athlete. You missed a couple of putts, your own fault, and makeable putts. Those are brain cramps. Those aren't missed putts. Those are brain cramps as a professional golfer. And
Mhm.
you don't stick around and take a few questions. You get in your car. You don't
Absolutely.
shake the champion's hand. 2 days later, you acknowledge with a written announcement about thank you, congratulating him for his win. Now, this is the guy that is
Mhm.
supposedly the guy for the PGA, and I just don't get how they let him to get away with this. And actually, fans or commentators saying, well, he had a lot going on. And not only on that, Chris, and I'll enter and quickly on this, he was supposed to be at the Travelers Tournament this weekend and has now declined to go. And that's just disrespectful for those people that bought tickets that wanted to see him this
Totally agree.
weekend. I just not agree with anything he did this past weekend.
And you know me, I'm a Rory fan. I
Yeah,
was. He lost some points with me over this entire situation because I do agree with you. You're a professional athlete. You stick around. I mean, golf is always supposed to be such a gentleman's prestigious sport. Um, Look, there's long-standing traditions in the PGA, whether it's live or not, doesn't matter to me. Rory needed to be better there. I don't care. Don't give me the excuse about his personal life. Overall, he needed to be
right.
there. I agree with you on the Travelers thing too. That's heartbreaking for the fans. One final note in the PGA though. The PGA Tour has created a special sponsor exemption for 15-time major champion Tiger Woods, and
Sure.
Tiger Woods alone. He is getting an exemption of all time. Based on his exceptional lifetime achievement, the tour told its members in a memo Tuesday night. The sponsor exemption would be available for Woods to compete in the 8 signature events, which feature limited fields, increased prize money, FedEx Cup points. Tiger, who's an 82-time winner on the PGA Tour,
Yeah.
wouldn't otherwise qualify for these signatures, but either way, they have created it for him. And I don't know, what it's going to lead to or what it's going to mean, but overall, I'm at a point where you have to think he's earned it. I respect it. Either way, kudos to you, Tiger Woods. All right, Gerry, let's get to it. Hit me with the Atlantic scene, and then let's go to our 2 cents.
Thanks, Chris. The Atlantic scene starts in New Brunswick with the New Brunswick Senior Baseball League, where the Fredericton Royals sit on top of the standings with a 7-5 record. Moncton Mets, they're the Metropolitans this year, not the Mudcats. They're 5-4. Meanwhile, Charlottetown's at 5-6. St. John's even at 4-4, and Chatham's at 3-5. You can see the disparity in number of games that have been played, and also there is some major parity in this league. It's a balanced league that can switch around. First can be in last, the last can be in first 2 weeks from now. Games of the week for me in the New Brunswick Senior Baseball League. Sunday, Charlottetown's in Moncton at Kiwanis Park at 4 o'clock. That'll be a good one. And also a rare Sunday night tilt in the Ironman Field in Chatham, as Chatham's going to host the Fredericton Royals for the first time. That'll be a 7 p.m. start at Ironman Field. The New Brunswick Junior Baseball League, they call it U22 these days. And sitting on top of the St. John Junior Alpines, they're 6-4. Fredericton Junior Royals, they're next at 5-3. The Moncton Junior Mudcats at 3-4, and the Chatham Junior Ironmen at 3-6. Always a good game to get out and see the junior boys. And my game of the week for them this week, Moncton plays in Fredericton at Royals Field Friday night. It's a nice Friday night tilt at 7:30. The Maritime Women's Basketball Association's winding down. They're into the playoff round, which started on Tuesday. And it was the Fredericton Freeze getting an 87-73 victory over the Moncton Mystics. Mystics finished the regular season at 3-7. Now they're eliminated from the playoffs, and the Freeze will move on to the semifinals. Meanwhile, the Port City Fog squeezed by a victory right here on Rogers TV with a 73-66 win over the Miramichi Hurricanes. Hurricanes finished the regular season. They're first at 4-6, while Port City was 5-5 during the regular season. So Port City and Fredericton go to Halifax this weekend for the Pro Line Legacy Cup, and it's going to be held at the Dowplex in Halifax on Saturday and Sunday. Who will they meet? Well, it's the Thunder, who finished in top spot. The Halifax Thunder went 10-0 this season. They're in top spot. They're going to be there. Meanwhile, the Hornets of Halifax and Lake City 56ers are going to play off tonight to see who the other team will be in the semifinals. So again, semifinal Saturday, and the final will be Sunday at 2:30. That's at the Dowplex in Halifax for the WBA wrapping up their regular season and playoffs. And the MFL is wrapping up this weekend too. It's the Maritime Football League's championship game. It happens Saturday. And where can you watch it? Right here on Rogers TV, Saturday from Rocky Stone Park at 5 p.m. It'll be live here on Rogers TV as the Moncton Mustangs, who went 6-0 during the regular season, are going to try to get back their crown that they lost to the Nova Scotia Buccaneers last year. Buccaneers are defending. So it should be a good one. Tune it in here on Rogers TV Saturday at 5 p.m. Chris, that's the Atlantic scene. How about enlightening us with your 2 cents this week?
So we're going to go a little different. Yes, it is my 2 cents, but I want to talk about something that I love to talk about. Euro 2024 kicked off June 14th, of course, in Germany. There's a lot of things happening. We were talking about it off camera. Gerry, you wanted to know, hey, how many of these things are there? What are the groups? What do they look like? So I just want to break it down a little bit for everybody who's curious. And of course, when you look at Euro 2024, there are 6 groups. Starting with Group A, you've got Germany, Switzerland, Hungary, and Scotland. Group B, you've got Spain, Italy, Croatia, Albania. Group C's got England, Denmark, Serbia, Slovenia. Group D is France, Austria, the Netherlands, and Poland. Group E, Belgium, Ukraine, Romania, Slovakia. And then Group F, Portugal, Turkey, Czechia, and Georgia. If you look at how this whole thing's done, you're looking how, the groupings are looking. You look at who the favorites are. At a Group A, Switzerland is consistent performers of this tournament. They're almost always progressing into the knockout rounds, while Hungary and Scotland, they enjoyed stellar qualifying campaigns. A lack of firepower, in my opinion, could cost the Scots despite their defensive. But overall, it wouldn't surprise me to see Germany there either. If you look at the group, the B group, Spain and Italy have seen plenty of each other in recent years, and they're going to face off yet again this summer. If you look at the blockbuster, like that Group B fixture that people talk about, Italy's overcame a superior Spain on penalties in the semifinals at Euro 2020. But the Liberians have won 3 of the last 4 meetings. Spain are without midfielder star Gavi, however, but there are some questions surrounding the Italians. You just never know. Croatia, on the other hand, is interesting. If you look, they've exceeded expectations at the 2022 World Cup by knocking out Brazil, advancing into the semis. They've still got their golden generation core at their disposal, but they could struggle this summer. We're not quite sure. If you look at the Group B side of things, Albania is blessed. That's how we're talking. So Group C, all eyes are on England. In my opinion, I think this is going to be the year England gets it done. They're going to look to win their first one. That being said, Slovenia, however, are more reliant on their star striker Benjamin Sesko. Other than he's 20-year-old star playing in these Euro leagues. It's his first major tournament, so we'll see exactly how it makes out. France comes within a penalty shootout of becoming the first team since Brazil in '62 to defend their World Cup crown. Didier Deschamps' squad, they are overwhelmingly talented, and led by the world's best player, Kylian Mbappe, who suffered a pretty serious injury, was bleeding pretty hard from the face there not that long ago. Overall, Gerry, I could go on and on and on. On the last group, Group E and Group F, Belgium's transitioned away from its golden generation into an era led by youthfulness. Some old guard mentioned the presence will be pivotal for the Red Devils this summer. They've been blessed with a tame group, and anything but comfortable standing out at the summit should be considered a huge disappointment. Ukraine, given their recent experience, will back themselves into a finish to finish second in in that final group. It should be interesting how it all plays out, but I do have to think, look, I kind of gave you a bit of a Cold's Notes version. We don't have a ton of time to go into it, but there's a lot of action, a lot of great storylines that I think everybody should be tuning in for. Euro 2024 just kicked off. I love these soccer tournaments. Yes, I know there's a lot of them. There's a lot of leagues and divisions. But overall, Gerry, that's my thoughts on the whole thing. I love Euro 2024. I'm excited for it. I know a lot of people don't love football per se, but there's a lot more people who do. I'd love to hear your 2 cents, though. Gerry, hit me with it before we close this thing off.
Well, my 2 cents, Chris, in this hot weather is, again, circling around hockey, and specifically the Stanley Cup playoffs. Not necessarily the finals, but the playoffs in general, and the ongoing tradition of beards, playoff beards, that is. It's getting to a point. Here you have, I guess, an American audience on ESPN that's getting to hassle with, I guess, the starting times. Here we are in Atlanta, Canada, starting to watch a game at 9 o'clock at night these days because the Americans need it to start at 8 Eastern. So you're getting American exposure. And what are they seeing? They're seeing scruffy, dirty old beards and the ability to chew the heck out of a mouth guard is starting to become a little bit ridiculous. And I think one of the Rangers, I believe, took it out of Kachuk's mouth and threw it in the stands during that series. But it's really starting to be it's not like a baseball when they spit on the ground or whatever other sport you might think of. He's actually chewing on the thing. And most of these guys that are trying to grow beards, and the reason they're growing beards is because it's the playoffs. You don't shave until you're out. That tradition's got to go away soon because you've got an international audience trying to watch, and you really don't recognize the players when they have beards, and they don't all wear beards all year round. Why is it in the playoffs when the highest exposure on television happens, these guys are going around with scruffy beards? It's not like they're trimming them or anything. Some of them don't even know I can't grow a good beard. And if I was on a team, I'd look pretty shabby too. It's just getting to a point where the beards have to change. Are they all going to start dyeing their hair blonde again? That can be a tradition too. They used to do that in junior leagues. Is there another tradition or another? It's not a tradition, Chris. It's really a superstition that you've got to not shave until you get eliminated. Well, the exposure of the NHL is trying to get increased, and the stereotype of NHL players, specifically Canadians, scruffy, no teeth, cuts and blemishes all over their face, is not a good. It's a Shoresy type of thing, I guess, is the kind of look they're looking for. So the beard, for me, in the playoffs, needs to go. That's my 2 cents.
I appreciate that, Steinbrenner.
For Chris, thanks for watching our 2 cents.